Ready, set,
We're gone.
go.
We're on.
Are we on?
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
We're only on when someone else responds.
We're on. Stop scooting away from me.
I'm trying to get us in frame here. I honestly, we have one person. The show can now start. So
Thank you.
I don't know. We could put this on a topic list for another episode of this, but I don't understand how. Hi, Lauren. So good to see you, or see your name on the screen because we can't exactly see you.
What do you not understand?
Oh, how do you start? How do you do just like a cold start? Like, because we get on here and no one else is on, and it says live, but there's zero. So literally everything you say,
We've got each other.
gets heard by no one.
Us.
So I would rather just start and just
Hi, Nick. Stop.
wait until one person gets.
Chris has a very slow warm-up time. He takes a long time to get started on things. So
Yeah.
he would literally sit here and stare.
Yeah, this is why Trudy gets mad when I take too long to preach. So
Sometimes it's just like to finish a sentence.
yeah, we get there. We piddle. Last week it was team clean screen, and then it was users versus normal people that respect their products.
No, that was not it.
This week can be. I totally forgot what I said at the beginning.
Okay.
This week we can be Team Piddle. Who's on Team Piddle and who's not a piddler? So you know that you're a piddler if you just walk through a grocery store just to look at what's on the shelves.
No list.
No list.
No budget.
No plan. No budget. We're just piddling.
Ted Myrtle's here.
Oh, man. I miss the Myrtles so bad.
We got Nick and Lauren, the Myrtles. Who else is here? We told Lauren that we'd tell our story tonight.
Yeah, so we are going to do that tonight. So hold on. Get ready. As of right now, Kacy and I are doing great. And so we're going to shoot.
As of right now.
We're going to shoot for that to be the same. But
No,
do we
it's
tell
fun
our
to tell our
story?
story.
But do we tell it for 6 people? I mean, not that you 6
are
people.
as valuable as 6,000 people. Babe,
Kind of. In the business.
the whole internet is invited.
In the biz, we talk about
This is not.
ROI, return on investment.
This is
7
these are
people.
Humans. These
7
are
people.
humans.
Hey guys, when we get to 10 people, we'll tell our story. So we need to see this number go up. Call your friends.
Oh my god.
Tell your mom. Send
I
the
don't
link
know that
out.
they need to be all that invested in our story.
WhatsApp
because
it.
it's not
WhatsApp
actually their
it,
lives.
guys. Can we get to 100? Can we get
Okay.
to 100 people?
From 7. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I feel good. You can see my,
Oh my gosh.
coffee.
I can't.
Do you want to give me a serviette then? I mean, I can, but
We're
you're on
about
the
to tell.
outside of the
I'm
thing.
about to take the coffee away.
Listen, guys, I just got to get through this. But it's so happy to have you. We're so happy to have you guys here. It is cold. It's cold in our house. That's why we're dressed the way that we are. And let me see. What time is it? We'll jump into our story. We'll give people another. It's 8:03. We'll jump in at 8:05. So we'll give people two minutes. I'd like to give a special shout out to Ted and Margaret Myrtle, 2 of my speed demons that come driving through the parking lot on Sunday mornings. I miss them, miss seeing them.
Hey, the parking lot is so fun on Sunday mornings, by the way.
The parking lot is fun on Sunday mornings. Nick, buddy, it's good to see you online. We miss you. So thankful for the effort that you put into the boys groups, especially into the Leafas group. That's awesome. How's the burden of carrying such good looks going?
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm starting. You start.
Okay. I feel like it's yours. So we are starting the story of our story.
We're going to start right now.
It's not going to be long. We're not going to take all night.
No.
But
Our marriage can't handle it.
it's a good story.
No, I mean this interaction.
This is also fun.
Yeah.
Anyway. The background is I moved from Texas to South Africa on my own in 2010, and I was just single. I had just started my career in the States as a marriage and family therapist, and then I went on what I thought was going to be a 6-month mission trip, and then I ended up meeting Lifa and becoming Lifa's mom. So then I was working on the mission field, helping lead and develop a ministry, and being a single parent for lots of years until I met Chris in 2014 when he moved here.
Yeah. So, okay. I moved to South Africa to take over an NGO in Nelspruit, and one of the big things that we did there was we imported food into the country, and then we fed kids we had these care points, these places in townships where kids could come get food, and we supplied food to other ministries and other organizations, and they would get food from us, and we would have to do a little bit of accounting with them because we had to make sure that what we were giving them was, being used and being used appropriately and all that boring stuff. So anyway, in Nelspruit, it's a small town. And when you're an American in Nelspruit, you kind of just know who the other Americans are.
Because there's like 4.
Yeah. And I showed up one night to something. No, I was taken by people, other Americans,
like a victim.
Yeah, to Kacy's house, where her friend Pachi was making this cheese dip.
Okay. He's stirring the pot. It was pizza hummus, and I was making it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, but the problem is that Kacy did not own it, and Pachi did. And so Pachi is Kacy's friend. She is a Brazilian firecracker, and she was stirring the dip, and so I spent the next 2 years thinking that Pachi made that stuff. So,
which is actually not part of our story.
No, it's not at all. So that night I hung outside with the dog. Me and the dog hung out together because I didn't love the people I was with, and I didn't want to hang out in this weird American missionary's house because
missionaries are weird.
Especially single female missionaries. If you're a single female missionary out there,
if you've been one for a really long time,
or 10 minutes, whatever. But
if you're a missionary, it doesn't mean you're weird.
No, well, yes, you are weird, but socially,
you have the potential.
Yeah. So generally, females and single female missionaries are super weird. They've moved to Africa with this delusion that they're going to save the world, and
This is like rural bush missionaries.
Yeah. And so when someone took me to another American named Kacy's house, I was like, I don't want anything to do with this girl, with anything. So I literally stood outside with the dog for most of the night.
He just came in for dip.
I came in for dip. And so
Hi, Yolandi.
Hey, Yolandi. That was our first kind of encounter. And then after that encounter, Kacy and the organization she was with asked us for food. And so I sat down with Kacy and said, okay, we can sort the details out. I remember I forgot we had a meeting, came on the wrong day. There's a whole bunch of other stuff.
I didn't know how to do spreadsheets.
Kacy didn't know how to do spreadsheets. I remember she does. Kacy has a master's degree in...
and not in spreadsheets.
Psychology. She's a smart woman. So she... but she did not do the spreadsheets right. Simple. Column 1, how many kids? Column 2, how much food?
Carry on with the story.
So we sat there at a little restaurant, and I walked her through these spreadsheets, and I just was like, Kacy's just, like a weird, American. I mean, you weren't weird in the sense that people could get super weird, but I was absolutely uninterested in...
Well, I was uninterested too.
In you, yeah.
But you were very American.
Yeah, and didn't care. So we coexisted, occasionally bumping up against each other in Nelspruit at different gatherings, and nothing really changed until one January. I did... No. What?
Before this January, we had a series of non-dates.
Oh, yeah.
That started like this. I got a text message that said... It was Thanksgiving week. So Thanksgiving is like most important holiday in America and not celebrated in South Africa.
Yeah.
And so I got a text message from him that said, oh, my plans fell through for Thanksgiving. You're the next best thing. Do you want to go to a movie?
Okay, so first of all, Kacy and I did have a slight friendship at the time, and it was nothing more than a friendship. It really wasn't. And sometimes it was. The thing that was nice about Kacy is she was a grown woman, and there were no feelings. And so, it's an Elsprit. You're just looking for somebody to do something, and so we had a couple. We'd already had maybe one non-date.
No, that was the first.
Okay,
that was
so
the first.
the first one was so she hesitated to say yes. So then that's when I told her, well, you're the next best thing because I was supposed to go to Mozambique and drive up the coast to Shai and have prawns on the beach with friends, and that's obviously the first best thing. And so when that was canceled, I said, well, okay, if I'm stuck in Nelspruit, I could go to a movie. And who do I want to go to a movie with? And you were the safest bet. Yeah, because all the little Afrikaans girls that I could have asked in Nelspruit would have thought here's an American, It just would have been weird. So
I actually sent a message to one of our mutual friends making sure that this was not a date because of the despicable way he asked Leah.
That's a good one. That's a good sip of coffee.
So anyway.
It's a very good sip of coffee.
Stop.
So anyway.
We had a couple of non-dates, nothing to it.
Couple non-dates. We went to a movie. Is that the night I got you drunk?
Yes.
Yeah. Kacy was a lightweight. We went to a movie, and in this little movie theater, you could order food and get wine. And I think we had a glass of wine there. And then we went to a restaurant, which was 10 meters across from the movie theater to eat. And we had wine there.
Yeah.
And then I dropped her off at home, and there were zero feelings. And I would have never even asked her to do any of this. But the thing was that we were in Nelspruit. What else were you going to do? And so next best thing. I dropped her off at home. I get a text from her later. She says, I'm laying down and the room is spinning. And then, guys, I genuinely felt bad. So
at least the church knows that we don't hold anything back.
No, I actually really felt bad because, it was an accident. The accidents happen.
Lightweight.
Yeah, she was apparently just a good person, and I was vile inside. And so
anyway, carry on.
So anyway,
non-dates.
Yeah,
life moved on.
We did it. We did a couple non-dates, and then I went to. I left Nelspruit to go to Namibia, and then drove up through Namibia did a big loop around Namibia, up to Angola, over to Zimbabwe, and then Zambia. And I went to a big New Year's Eve festival in Zimbabwe at the waterfall, and then drove down through the Okavango and in Botswana back to South Africa. So I took this big sort of, I think it was maybe 3 weeks, this drive. And while I was laying in a tent up in Curtis, we can't help you with food. You got to go, bro. I was laying in, we'll delete these comments afterwards. I was laying in a tent, and God spoke to me. So I was on this grass in Zambia, laying in a tent, and a hippo had walked up out of the water, and this hippo was right next to my tent. And I'm laying there thinking, if I move, I'm dead. This thing is going to literally kill me. And this was not the first run-in that I had. I'm trying to think. No, this is before Botswana. In Botswana, I had to hide under my bucky from elephants. But in Namibia, this hippo came up and was eating. And so I was laying there, just terrified, trying not to move. And that I heard God speak to me in that. And he said, Chris, are you ready to meet your wife? And I thought, yes, absolutely. I had this beautiful record of horrendous relationships leading up to that. And I had sort of said, okay, I'm done with relationships until God, calls me into one. And I knew that I needed a certain woman to be able to handle my absurdity and to be able to do what God had called me to do, which was plant a church or start a church, but basically build the church. And so I'm laying in the tent, and God says, like, okay, get ready. I'm about to bring you a wife, and I'm about to open up your calling so that you can step into your calling. And I thought, like, this is amazing. This means I'm not going to die from the hippo, because there's a future.
That's a good way of looking at it.
There's a future plan. Like the time that I grabbed a snake from Heinz and Susan's house, and they were like, how did you know it wasn't going to be poisonous or kill you? And I didn't know. And I just thought, well, I'm not going to die right now.
That's good.
You know? So, anyway. So, that night, I went to sleep thinking, cool, sounds good. And came all the way back to Nelspruit. And I was in Nelspruit, and it was early February. And so at 10 o'clock at night, it was like 68 degrees Celsius. And so me and a friend of mine were standing neck deep in the swimming pool in the yard. And you would just go there at night, and you would stand there and hold your arms out so that no part of your body touched any other part of your body. And you would just stand there and get cool. And I was telling him about this experience that I'd had in Namibia. And he was like, wow, man, who do you think it is? You know, do you think it's this person or that person? And I had a list. I had a long,
Okay.
I had a long list of no. And I told him, I said, you know, David, I think it's actually like Kacy. And he like paused, and he looked at me, and he was like, but you don't even like Kacy. And it was true.
True story of romance we're dishing out tonight.
Yeah, I did not like Kacy yet at all. But for some reason, I just knew that God had told me Kacy is the woman that is going to be, she's the key. She will unlock your future, your happiness. She'll unlock your purpose. She is the woman that you need to marry.
Davina gets it.
Yeah, Davina gets it. So she is the woman that you need to marry. And I told David, and David was like, but you don't even like her. And I thought, I don't. What is going on here? But I just knew that it was Kacy, and Kacy was going to be it. So Kacy was in Cape Town working at the time with, the very next night, because I'm not a patient guy, I sent Kacy a message, and she was out of town. She was in Cape Town working with Beautiful Gate.
Yeah.
Working at Beautiful Gate, teaching people how to not get AIDS. Is that?
No.
What were you doing then?
I was doing home visits and working with social services officers.
Okay, similar. So she was doing that, and I sent her a message and said, hey, when you get back into town, when you get back into Nelspruit, we need to get together and have a chat.
No, it said, we need to talk about who we are and who we could be.
Yeah, I led with that line.
This is from zero, nothing. Nobody liked each other. There was no buildup. There was no flirting. That was what it was.
Yeah, we need to get back who are we and who are we going to be?
So I had another week in Cape Town, and then I was receiving Lifa back from his father's house and readjusting him back to school. So I suggested a date 2 weeks from then.
And she was like, okay, in a month we'll get together.
2 weeks, like a responsible mom.
Yeah.
It didn't fly.
And I said, no. We need to do this like the day you get back. And so maybe it was the second day.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, it was about the second day. So this is my first out of body experience, because the second day that Kacy's back in town, I get off work, I'm doing stuff, and I go to her house. And as I'm driving into as I'm driving into Kacy's house, I'm having an out of body experience, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Like, what is this? Why am I doing this? Why I don't need this. I don't need to do this. I don't want this. But God had spoken, and he had said, Kacy is the woman for you. And so I went over her house. We had dinner.
Nice, cool start. Family dinner. Lifa's 7 years old.
Yeah, Lifa's 7. We eat dinner.
Wild banshee child.
He's running around the house in his underwear.
Just dropped right into family time.
Yeah. So she gives him a bath. He's running around in his underwear. He finally goes to bed. And the whole time I'm just sitting on the couch like, this is probably my second out of body experience. Like, Chris, run. Like, get out of here.
Like, it's normal night for us.
Yeah, they're just normal. Look, I'm getting sweaty. I'm reliving it.
We're married now. It's okay.
I know, but it was mildly traumatizing.
Clearly. Really?
So I'm sitting in her house, and she comes out of Leafa's room and sits down, and I'm like, all right. So I'm on one couch, and she's on another couch, and we're facing each other. And I just said, okay.
I call this the business meeting.
She calls it a business meeting because it was. There was nothing else.
No romance.
Yeah.
No emotion.
None. And I just looked at her and I said, there's a lot of things about you that terrify me, and there's a lot of things about you that are great.
You did lead with terrifying.
I did. And I said, I think that I can take the terrifying with the great. I think that, I don't remember exactly how I said it, but I basically said, like, I think you're the person I'm supposed to marry.
You basically proposed. But I thought it was insane, but it was very, very honoring and sweet in the sense that what you did say was that I want to choose you because you're a whole person and you don't need me. Like, you have a full life with God as your center. So I want to do that with you, and I want to choose you. And we decided to, like, we didn't like fall in love.
No. So I told her, I said, I choose you. This is where I'm going in my life, and I feel like you're going in the same direction. And
oh yeah, that's what we did. We both said, like, here's what God has called us to separately, and we decided, those things don't conflict. So we just like made a real business decision and decided, well, let's do it together then.
Yeah. So I was hoping that she would say I'm crazy or I need to think about it or something like that. Excuse me. And she said, okay, great. This is where I'm going in my life. Let's do it. Let's do it together. Alignment. I'm always talking to Jay and Haiti. Forgot his second girlfriend's name there.
Oh my gosh.
No, Haiti, he's only got one. It's you. But we always talk about alignment, and Kacy and I were aligned. And the night ended with a side hug, and she asked for, she ridiculously, selfishly, I came to her house, I poured out my heart, took a huge step of faith here, told this woman we're supposed to get married, and then she has the nerve to ask me for an emotion before I left the house.
No, I said, okay, but do you actually like me?
Yeah, and no. The answer is, did I say yes or no?
I don't think you answered. I think you avoided it. So then I said, okay, well, can you share an emotion?
Yes, and I told her that
get ready.
That I appreciated her time. Appreciation
of time is not an emotion.
Yeah, she was looking.
Trudy, back me up.
She was looking for some thing that wasn't there, and I was thankful that she gave me time, and so that was it. And we side hugged.
No, also I said, because I also kind of wanted to throw up, and I said, does this mean that you're my boyfriend?
No.
And he literally put his head between his legs, and he says, if you put this on Facebook, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, exactly. That was my 7th or 8th out-of-body experience, where you get the cold sweats, cold sweats.
Side hug and done.
Yeah, side hug. So I gave, she's good. Yeah, no, she was.
Thanks, Lauren.
Still is, yeah. So,
she was.
Still is. I said all the right things. So anyway, we side hugged, I left, and the whole way home I just thought, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? The only other time that I felt this way was the day that I adopted my first dog, Spartacus, who is a whole nother story. But I remember looking in the back seat and thinking, that's when I first got it. Thinking, what have I done? What have I done? This thing's alive. It's a real being. It's not a human, but a real thing. And now it's under my care. And I left Kacy's house feeling that way. The next day, she shows up at my office door, and I come around the corner, and Kacy's standing at the door, and I literally just pulled like a U-turn.
Yeah, so I was going to a meeting with somebody else in his office, and he puts his head out of his office and then just turns in, goes back in, and closes the door.
Like a prairie dog. I popped up, and I saw Kacy at the door, and then I went back in. And I sat in my office, and the office I was in had no windows or anything. And I just sat there and stared at the wall. I mean, I just was like listening to see if she was still there or if she had gone. And
it's mature.
Yeah, it was horrible. So So then pretty much from there, the one thing that I will say that we gave each other permission to do was to let our feelings develop like in time. Like we made a decision for each other, but we didn't rush our emotions. So we had no timeline like in mind. It was kind of, we were just going day to day, hoping and praying that feelings and stuff like that would develop. And they did, slowly things kind of like ticked along, and we developed feelings for each other.
And it was sweet. Our dating relationship was really like family dinner, and then after Leaf would go to bed, we'd have tea and hang out.
Yeah, family dinner.
But I do remember we'd go on walks a lot with Leaf on his bike, and I remember one walk where Chris was like, I really like hanging out with you, but I could also kind of live without you.
Yeah,
And he was just being honest, like, I don't think I'm in love yet. And my response was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I told her, because I had this realization of, like, I don't need, like, I'm not, so I've never had a healthy relationship before Kacy. And because I didn't have all of these unhealthy feelings with Kacy, I questioned if this was a real, like, relationship or not. So I never had a relationship where love didn't come with like jealousy or weird stuff. And everything with Kacy was very easy and very simple. And we chose each other and we were there for each other. And it really like messed me up. It was hard to like decipher, is this real? Because every time I thought I loved somebody in the past, it was... Every time I thought I loved somebody in the past, it came with all these other unhealthy feelings, and those things weren't with Kacy. And so it was a huge journey. I think one of the next big steps was the night that you tried to get me drunk at the restaurant. Yeah, I went to a restaurant called Magnolia on a date. This was our first date.
This was our first date. We had to. So it's weird when you have to get a babysitter for your first date.
Super weird.
We literally rode to the restaurant in complete silence because we were both like, "Did we just get a babysitter?"
Yeah. So I'm
on a date.
I'm like, I don't know what to do with the babysitter in the house. I mean,
yeah, he was so awkward with the babysitter.
Kacy's made dinner for him and Lefa. They were going to watch a movie.
Living their best life.
Yeah, they were fine living their best life, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy." How you doing? I don't know what to do. We finally get out of the house. We go to the restaurant. We're having dinner at the restaurant. Oh, this is where, see, at this point, I don't know that we had any major feelings develop.
No,
but
this is early on.
This is very early on. But at this point, I knew 100% that I was supposed to marry Kacy. So... I knew 100% that I was going to marry Kacy. It was I knew 100% that I was supposed to marry Kacy. And so I just thought, well, I'm not going to waste any time. So
he does not.
We were sitting at dinner. We were having dinner. And I told Kacy that I felt like God said that we're supposed to get married. And she got up and went to the bathroom.
I just sat there. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. I just sat there.
Yeah, and I thought she was taking a huge dump.
I just needed to process what he just said, because he just says things like they're facts. We haven't even touched each other, I'm pretty sure, at this point.
No.
And he just told me he's going to marry me.
Definitely not. So she comes back and sits down at the table, and Erica's messaging you again.
That's okay.
Erica always knows when we're online. Thanks, Erica.
I don't know how to do it, but just ignore that.
It's fine. So, Kacy comes back to the table, and the waiter comes over and says, "Would you like another drink?" I was having a gin and tonic. She says, "Oh, yes, he'll have another gin and tonic." So she got me...
I wasn't ready to talk.
Yeah.
And, come on, I did not. You're not a lightweight.
No, that was Fat Chris. And, oh, shame.
Babe, pay attention.
I know, Kacy's phone gets messages. No, you swipe up.
Look.
Oh, okay, there you go. Okay, awesome. So, sorry, Erica. But anyway, so that night we talked about, hey, I'm supposed to marry you. And we talked about that. And then really for the next 6-7 months, it was just us learning how to fall in love with each other, learning how to love each other.
And be a family.
And be a family. Like, we had to figure all that out as well. We had to make sure that swipe. We had to make sure. I can't. We had to make sure. I don't remember what we had to make sure of now.
Okay.
It's Erica's fault.
We had to fall in love.
Yeah, so we fell in love, but we let each other do that. And there were lots of funny things along the way. There was the Valentine's Day that we accidentally dressed the same.
Oh, yeah. Right after the business meeting, we showed up dressed alike.
On a missionary base.
Which
with a
was
bunch
very
of
weird.
Weird Americans dressed up like it was Valentine's Day. Or dressed up for Valentine's Day. And Kacy and I both wore matching shirts on accident.
It was darling.
Yeah, no. That was another.
He was miserable.
That was a hard one. I was miserable. I was ready to go. And I always had the drive of glory heading home, and it was like a 30-minute drive through the bush from White River to Nelspruit. And it was, leaving Kacy's house, heading back. It was like, I've made one more day. I've made it one more day.
Until eventually we ended up moving on to the same property.
Yeah, this was horrible. So I thought, fast forward, Kacy pressured me to pick a wedding day. I said no. Then after my mom came for a visit, we pulled into a truck stop.
Okay, the pressure was because I wanted to make sure we wanted to get married, and I wanted to make sure my sister could come.
Yeah, so it's pick a date. And I'm like
that.
No. So we had a conversation. I said, never talk about it again.
Well, that was true.
Yeah, and then maybe a couple weeks later or 3 weeks later or something like that, we dropped my mom at the airport in Joburg, and we came back through what's the name of that stop?
I can't remember.
Oh, man. Anyway, there's a huge pullover with rhinos and impalas and all kinds of animals out there. So it's more than a petrol station.
There's also an Nando's.
Yes. And as we were pulling in there, I said, okay, you know what? Let's just pick a date and get married. And so I picked a date a month away. And she said, okay, seriously? And I said, yeah. And she said, okay. And then
that was the proposal. Then we literally took a picture at the gas station because I at least wanted a proposal photo.
Yeah, with rhinos. And before you guys give me a hard time, listen, two missionaries,
you can give him a hard time. Do not play that card, please.
Yeah. So we just, I will say this to all you people out there that aren't married and think you need a perfect whatever for happiness. No, just get married. You get married, you get to do life together. So we had our gas station business meeting. Give him a hard time. That's fine, Trudy. I'll remember that.
Here we go.
So we had our business meeting, and we decided when we were going to get married, and then we got married. And there were lots of things along the way. Like when we got married, my truck died.
Oh, yeah.
Almost in sync with each other. So
why are you looking at me like I organized that?
Yeah, this truck that I loved, this was the story we told last week. One night I was hugging Kacy and I saw my Bucky in the background, and I had tinted smash and grab windows, and I mean with the kind of stuff that I had to do, my truck had to be like a fortress. So I had to be able to carry myself and tools and food and all kinds of things in it to keep me safe and to get me to places that I needed to go. And so me and this truck had many experiences together. And I was hugging Kacy and I said, "Isn't it beautiful?" And she, I don't remember what I said, but I basically was like, I love my truck as I was hugging. I love
truck.
I love it. Yeah. So if you come to our house, we have a picture of it hanging on the wall in front of one of the dunes in Namibia.
But when we got married,
the truck died.
Chris's adventure vehicle died, but also
the engine blew up twice.
I had a
violently
beautiful
died.
red Condor.
Do people in Cape Town know what a Condor is?
Yes, people know what a Condor is. They are still alive.
I don't think
mine would still be alive. I had a Condor that I also needed because I carried 30 people at a time in my Condor.
Kacy would go into townships and pick up 30 people, and her Condor had everything from someone's weave in it, like laying on the floor, to like weird first aid kits, to food, to everything else. And I drove her Condor to
everything you need
to our mechanic, George, who I told him, sell it.
He came home without my Condor. We weren't even married yet.
Yeah, I sold her car.
I didn't even get to say goodbye.
No, it was done. I hated that thing. I don't hate Condors. Fun fact, I drove a Condor for my first vehicle when I landed in Swaziland. I drove it when I was in Swaziland.
Cool story, not my Condor.
Yeah. So anyway, I did. I sold Casey's car out from under her, and we made a good profit on it because George rolled the miles back in it, and I didn't know that until after we had already.
But anyway, what's the moral? How do we wrap this thing up?
It never wraps up, guys. That's how we wrap it up. It never wraps up. It never wraps up.
Okay, everybody. But I think so. My favorite part about
tell.
My favorite part about our story is choosing each other.
Yes.
Because I never ever question. I never had a question. There was never a game. So I never wondered, does he like me? Is this going to work out? All that stuff, because we pre-decided and then we fell in love. And I feel like it was really, it's not that planned for everybody, but it's what God had for us. And it worked because we had so many other variables. We had, a kid from a different culture already. Marrying me, one thing that we didn't talk about, meant a very low ability to travel ever again.
Yeah, Kacy her visa was a mess.
But not just for me, also documents, all kinds of stuff. So it just meant I had just already thought I choose to raise Lefa, which basically means I choose to live in the bush and be single for the rest of my life. And that's fine. I made the choice for this. No one would ever be crazy enough to marry me.
Yeah.
And
turns out.
So really, my favorite thing is making the choice. It took out all the games, and we just keep making the choice every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that it's amazing. I'm going to take you guys all the way back.
Here we go.
To 2008. I was in the shower at my parents' house. I was taking a shower. And while I was in the shower, God spoke to me about having an impact on the world and being a leader. And it wasn't with grand illusion or anything like that. But one thing he told me, because God knew that I was an idiot when it came to girls. When it came to girls,
okay.
God, yes, very much so. God said, you are an idiot. You need to stop dating people. And
God did not call you an idiot.
I'm pretty sure that God's okay with calling me an idiot. But
carry on.
So anyway, God said, stop dating people. Just stop. Just completely stop. And don't do it until I tell you to do it. Because the person that you need in your life is a specific person for a specific reason. And the fullness of the plan that I have for you is going to come with this person. And so I thought, okay, great. This is amazing. And so God took me from that moment in the shower to when I was laying in my tent in Namibia trying not to startle a hippopotamus. And then as I was pulling into Kacy's house to tell her at the business meeting that we were supposed to choose each other. And as I sat in a restaurant and told her that one day I would love her, but that we were supposed to get married. And even the first time that I told Kacy I loved her, I immediately screamed, I'm not supposed to feel this way yet, and tried to take it back. So that was another thing. But God just, he completely made right on his promise for me. And what I had to do is the same thing that I have to do every day when I go to work or when I do anything else in life that I don't know how to do, or when I face problems or trials or trouble or whatever. I just have to trust God that he's got the best plan for me. Now, that was extremely terrifying when on the other side of that trust was another human and her life.
Two of us.
Yeah, there's two of them, Kacy and Lefa. And I never wanted to mess with the stability of the relationship between Kacy and Lefa. So I was always extremely careful about that. And so when we chose each other, we really chose each other. Mm-hmm. And now, our marriage has been through so much. I drank myself to sleep for the first year of our marriage. So that was pretty cool.
Wasn't
for
super
Kacy.
Romantic.
No, not at all. And then I started having major depressive breakdowns and anxiety attacks. And so that was also not great.
We're coming up to our best years.
Yeah, we're coming up to our best years, But we've loved each other since day one. And at least 3 days a week, we continue to love each other.
Okay.
No.
But really,
We love each other
truly,
every day.
I was just telling him, I've had friends go through several of the same struggles we've been through, and told them that something that I'm so grateful for that we have is that in our lows and in all of the hard times, we leaned into each other, even when there were no feelings, or even when there was no capacity for anything but just like leaning.
Yeah.
We did. And I think that came from starting with a choice without feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just tell one more quick story before we end? I want to tell you guys what happened right before our wedding. So all the men lean in here. Okay. Peter Powell. So I live on this farm with an Afrikaans family. Right. And I had my own 2-bedroom house. And it was me and 3 dogs. And there was a African gray, and then this wonderful family. And
he loved his little oasis.
I had an oasis. It was an amazing oasis. It was mine. It was just me. It was all me. Just me. I would come into my house. It looked exactly the way I wanted it because it was just me.
Bachelors, there's more to life.
Yes, and I am not a typical bachelor. I'm very clean, very in order. And then in Nelsprit, you were always fighting ants. And so me and the ants had an agreement. I knew what could and could not be left out, and they knew where they could and could not go, and we coexisted extremely well. So we're getting ready to get married, and Kacy gets kicked off of the base that she's living on because they don't know how to handle their emotions. And when they found out that Kacy was not going to be a missionary for them after she married me, they said, you and Letha have to leave.
We were instantly kicked out because missionaries get weird.
Missionaries get weird, and guess what? They're not in the mission field anymore. So missionaries get weird, and they literally kicked Kacy and Letha out.
So we were homeless.
They were homeless. They ended up living on the property with me. And they stayed in the main house. But guess what? They were in my house all the time. And so I, a very introverted, alone person who was still having out-of-body experiences as I thought about marrying Kacy and Letha, all of a sudden I was having to come to grips with the idea that they were going to be living with me.
And there were crumbs.
Always. And so I every morning, guess what? In the morning, I wake up.
Before school.
Guess who? Yeah, before school.
I did my makeup on the kitchen counter.
Yeah. And Letha and bread and sugar and all kinds of stuff.
We got dressed for school at his house, for Letha.
Yeah,
everything.
Everything. And the two of them consumed me like a cancer. They just moved
like
into...
a family. You could have said a family.
Yeah. Yeah. They consumed my... So I just
Here
just
we go.
to say...
This took a turn.
The last moments of a man's aloneness. I'm not even going to say freedom because I'm more free with Kacy.
That's a good edit.
Life is better with Kacy. All those things are true, but there was an aloneness.
There was an expectation.
That was amazing. And I thought that I would have that until the day we got married because that's what the Bible says. And lo and behold, I did not. I don't even think
Is anyone talking about being a single mom? Getting kicked out of
This isn't about you.
Is anybody crying
you
about
were a
it?
single mom. Someone was going to take you in.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The Bible talks about that too.
Yes. Yeah. So I had to let that die. I never got to mourn my last week, in my house.
Can everyone just shed a tear for Pastor Chris?
Yeah, and then after that, one of those dogs died, and my truck broke down. So
it's a bad country song.
Yeah, my truck broke down, and one of those dogs died.
Can you end this on a happy note?
Yeah, I love my wife, and I am everything that I am because of her, and that is something that God told me would be true, and it is. When Kacy and I got married, God opened up my calling to come to plant a church or to come to Cape Town and build the church. And so then, what was it? 8 months after the business meeting, we were married. And then, 8 months after that, we were headed to Cape Town on this crazy journey that we're on now. So yeah, it was not a conventional thing. We chose each other before we loved each other, but God directed us to each other. And one of the lessons that we've learned that's been so valuable in how we tell others about their story is alignment. Like, everyone gets all stressed out about, well, do I have the warm fuzzies? Do I have this? Do I have that? The warm fuzzies don't stick with you every day. But what you can say is where I'm headed in my life aligned with where you're headed in your life? And if so, we can be aligned, and we can do this. We can do this relationship together. So I think more relationships should be built on alignment than on warm fuzzies.
And just choice. I think we got such a firm foundation. We didn't know how much we would need the firm foundation. I think we needed it extra.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
I think
especially
we needed
Kacy.
it. Yeah, we just didn't. We wouldn't have survived the first 5 years.
No.
Without the
How many years have
foundation.
we been married now? Where's
Just almost 6.
We've almost been married 6 years, and for the first 5 years, Kacy has dealt with nothing but manic depression and anxiety in her husband.
Well,
and
nothing but that.
We left a ministry. We moved to a new city. We fought for Lifa and his papers and schools, and we fought the South African court system for Kacy and all kinds of stuff we have just been through. For 3 years, we knew that God called us to build a church here in Cape Town, but never saw fruit from that until Trudy Eaches came over and babysat for us at a Bible study one night, and God just locked our hearts into Southpoint with that. So yeah, that's our story. That's the very short version of our story.
Yeah, and we have, I feel like I have more joy and more strength in my spirit because of how we started and that we kept going.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate the no tears, ladies. I appreciate the support.
Yeah.
And Sam, I think we're gonna have some undoing to do after Tim has heard this.
Yeah. No, Tim's listening. He's taking notes. Tim is.
I got you, Sam.
He's studying, taking notes. Yeah. So I think we've been on here 45 minutes. We'll let you guys go. It's been a pleasure to tell you guys a little bit more of our story.
I want to hear Davina and Peter's now.
I know. Davina, Peter, I've heard stories about you guys. I heard y'all were wild.
Tim.
Yeah, Tim's on Team Chris. I need Team Chris. Hey, where's Jay at tonight? I haven't seen Jay comment. Jay, if you're there, can you drop a comment? If not, then that means Jay's on Team Haiti because he's not here for this. Oh.
Man, get him, Sam.
Yeah.
Get him, Sam. You better stop and erase all of them.
No. Oh, man. Okay, you guys are amazing. We're going to do this again next week. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll talk about something. We'll try and keep it to a shorter...
That's funny, Lauren.
A shorter length to your story, and we appreciate your time. Thank you. I appreciate your time. Yeah, I would love to hear Davina and Peter's story. So... but anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. Be blessed. We've got an exciting week still to come. We've got Kacy's praying on Thursday night and
8:00 on Thursday.
Yeah. Then we've got stuff Friday for, the call to worship. And then this weekend, church is still happening, 9 a.m. We're still doing packet pickups. Yeah, Nick, Jay's getting called out. And, we're still doing the packet pickups, and we're taking extra precautions with COVID, but yeah, we love you guys. We love you so much. I mean, that's the reason we're here. We want to connect with you.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason that we do this is we want to connect with you. I could be sitting in my office right now with my feet up watching a YouTube video about a man machining screwdriver heads. That's what I could be doing, but we're here because we love you and we want to talk to you and we just want to connect with you. So
we do love you.
Yeah, we love you a bunch. And next week, I want to see 500 people watching this.
Okay, from 17.
From 17 to 500. We can do this, guys. Let's go.
Okay.
No, we love you guys. Bye, everybody.